without further ado, we have a very exciting top attractor interview today. My friend Karin Head. I'll just say, so me and Karin, I think we first met in person like a month before I joined EXP. Do you remember that, Karin, in Naples?
That was at the Keller.
Yeah,
What was that? Expansion
yeah.
operation.
So we were Karen and I. We had both flown down from North Carolina separately. We didn't know each other to hear about the expansion system that Keller Williams was essentially rolling out, and we found ourselves in a bus or a taxi together, chatting. And a month later, Cliff Freeman, my sponsor, shared EXP with me. I jumped over, and Karen, you probably came a year or two after. So pretty cool.
I waited way too long to jump over.
You
Um,
know, I think most people share that sentiment with you. So without further ado, I'll introduce Karen. So Karen is a mega producer in North Carolina, runs an amazing team, former independent broker, I believe, and also with Keller Williams running a team. So talk a little bit about, Karen, about your production. Like, what does your team look like today? And then we'll talk about what does your attraction business look like, and we'll go from there.
well, I just want to go back to what you were talking about, the Keller expansion thing. When I look, I'm a real numbers person. So when I looked at those numbers, there was no way for it to work and be profitable for the person expanding into another market. And I actually owned 10% of the startup Keller Williams here in Winston-Salem. And I sold that 2.5 years later and started independent brokerage and then shifted over in 2018 to EXP. And it has been a total game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really incredible when you look at what we were exposed to that weekend. Like the numbers did not add up. It's like
Numbers
as if
didn't add
we,
up. They can't make those work. That's what's so extra special about EXP with folks that want to expand or add locations to their team. And I think that's really going to be important going into this massive recession. What was the question I
yeah,
have horrible ADD, so you got to just keep asking, pepper me with any
yeah,
questions I want.
yeah. Me too. I want to keep talking about the subject we're on now. I just thought of something with my ADD over here, like the whole like team concept for those of you maybe newer to the industry or maybe just unaware. Like Keller Williams kind of founded the team concept, I would say, or at least promoted it the most. And if you look at it, it's kind of self-serving to the franchise because essentially it was creating like a mini training program with more support, leads, all that hand holding inside of the brokerage. And it was sold as like the exit strategy for you as a producing individual agent. And essentially, the team model for most just became more of the same rat race. And then EXP came along and truly came up with the exit strategy for agents, which is why we're on the call, revenue share. And then the expansion model kind of just fed into that self-serving thing where it was like, how can we get more agents to KW? How do we make an individual agent more productive, but not necessarily more profitable? So I digress. But so the question for you, Karen, was what does your business currently look like today in terms of team production? And then we'll roll over into the attraction side.
Okay, I roll between 6 and 11 or 12 agents generally on my team. I have an amazing staff. I have my VP, Nikki. She works about 30 hours a week. She's got kids. She helps me manage the whole thing. I've got a marketing at 30 hours a week, and then I've got an assistant. And then the agents, we usually bounce around six. We usually average about 8 to 10. And we're on track right now. We're right at 45 million for the year. We'll probably finish out right at 50, or maybe a little below 50. I have 20, right at almost 20 people in my front line, 145 with 6 or 7 onboarding at all times on my team, on my vertical organization. And I really in my front line only want producers and team leaders and folks that are good at what they do so they can teach the people below them how to do the business and how to attract.
Yeah. I love that. And that's really what we preach, especially when your organization's in the growth phase, because bringing on new agents that don't really know what they're doing do not help you grow. I like what you call it, a vertical organization. I love that term. I haven't heard anyone use it like that before. You'll stay horizontal if all you do is attract new agents and low producing agents. So love the mindset. So let's talk a little bit about you joined EXP 2018. Why did you join? What was it for, the revenue share, and kind of what was your mindset then coming over to EXP?
So when I first joined, teams were just starting at EXP at that point, and it was hard to onboard a team. But when Tanya Rose and Keely and Bill Price and Shelly and Craig, they showed up at my office just hounding me to move my brokerage over. I saw immediately, but I had all these people that didn't have a cap. They didn't have a secondary brokerage. We weren't dual affiliate. It was just Karin Head Realty. And so it took me a while to figure out how to get it shifted over. And what I learned from all of that was it really just mattered what was best for my organization, and that people were either going to see EXP or they're not going to see EXP. Not everybody runs numbers. But what I found with EXP, and here's something I don't think anybody really talks about. I had a broker in charge, Carol, awesome, love her. We're still good friends. She was retiring, and so I paid her about $40,000 in salary and in benefits. And I also had a bookkeeper that was here about 25 hours a week who needed to go back to being kind of more of a stay-at-home mom. So I had, about 50 or 60 hours in payroll that I completely got rid of. And my first year with EXP, which was really 2019, because we started at the end of 2018. So 2019, I was a net positive of $90,000 with the rev share, the savings of payroll, all the different pieces, the components that went into us aligning with EXP. So I think that's a really important thing that teams don't really talk about when we attract brokerages is the savings. I mean, I have compliance with EXP. We have, those are other things you don't have to pay for. I don't have to 1099 my agents out of the back. So I reduced bookkeeping hours down to 5 hours a week. So that's a big, huge expense savings. The 1099, the end of year is so much easier because it's just my office versus having to do everybody's payroll, make sure everybody's got their 1099, make sure everything's in there the right way. It just made it easier. And so when I looked at the numbers and the expense and the cost, and I compared it to what I was pulling off of my business, it was a no-brainer. I hope that makes sense.
That's awesome. Yeah, it totally makes sense. And I love hearing the agents that we interview on these calls talk about like why they joined, what their thought process was, because I think it really helps with attracting new agents. It's like if you don't know what an independent broker thinks about and what problems EXP solves, you can't recruit that person really, or at least it's more challenging too. So it's like, I was just thinking as you're talking, like a great thing to say to an independent broker would be, hey, would you be open-minded if I could show you how EXP would actually save you money than operating on your own? That's a hard thing to say no to. Like, no, I would actually be closed-minded to that. I do not want to save money, So,
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that. So, so you're are you at 20 plus FLQA right now?
I'm at 19. I just lost one, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I feel you. I just dropped to 39, so I feel the sting. So,
well,
so
this year was
for the
crazy.
group, if you don't mind sharing.
I'm sorry?
I was just going to say, for the group, if you don't mind sharing, what does like average rev share look like if you had 20 plus FLQAs at 150 total org? How much per month would that average to?
That's about $14,000 a month.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
That is another game changer for sure. And I'll just say this. When people actually see that they can have that secondary stream of income, from that rev share. You know, if it winds up being six figures, that's pretty healthy for, you know, that's like having a second business or, you know, a small franchise or something. And
Yeah.
then and
Yeah.
then folks need to do the math on what's 20 doors versus $15,000 in rev share. You have 20 doors. There's a lot of occupancy issues and, you know, thought process. And I'm a big believer in investing in real estate, obviously. But if you do the numbers, 15,000 in rev share is pretty good, pretty close to maybe 20 doors. That's here in Winston-Salem.
Yeah. Totally, and that's where my head just went when you were talking about that. When you put it in terms of how many rental properties you would have to own to replace that income. I mean, the effort that goes into finding the properties, getting them ready for the rental market. Even if you have a property manager, you're still involved in stuff. Like I just had a nightmare this year with mold and a property that I own that I'm selling. Like you can easily get pulled back into your rental properties, even if you're a property management company, and it's residual but not passive for sure. It's I just think that with the revenue share opportunity, it's like the greatest opportunity of probably all of our lifetime. So I get so excited that we have 40 people on this call, usually 40 to 80 ish on these calls, and at the same time disappointed that we have thousands in Game Changers Nation and such a small percentage really can see this for what it is. So congratulations on your success with this, Karin. That's amazing. Let's talk about how that happened. So we know your target market for Frontline is top producers, maybe team leaders, people that have a good grasp of how to run their real estate business. Talk a little bit about how you got those people, and then we'll talk about how your organization grew to 145.
Well, and I'll just backtrack just a second. I feel like I really kind of dropped the ball. I should be much further along with my recruiting, but I had to jump back into my team business. That's why, you know, what you and John have done was so smart, because when you have $27,000 worth of expenses every month as a brokerage owner, and people aren't selling, you have to jump back in. So how I went into you know, recruiting, I just like to talk to them. You know, the tell me about yourself. I do that. We do that with clients. Tell me what's going on. How's your business? How's life? And that's how we approach clients, and that's how I approach agents. You know, what's going on with your business, and just open ended. And then people want to talk. My husband always says, if you'll just ask a question and shut your mouth, people will just want to talk about themselves. And they won't know a thing about you,
Yeah.
but they'll continue talking nonstop. And so you can really learn a lot about other people and their lives. And their lives are cool,
Yeah.
if you care.
Yeah. Yeah. People love talking about themselves. It's like that radio station, WIFM or whatever it is. What's in it for me? And
Yeah.
what's cool too, what I notice is when you let the person talk like crazy, they tell you information that you can use to help them. You know, help them join EXP, help them buy or sell a house. But also they're like, man, Karin's awesome, you know, and you just sat there and listened. But you know, but they're like, you like people more that let you talk. You know, that's just the reality, which is really interesting. So great sales tips there, both for attraction and your real estate business. So would you say most of your people came locally or nationally? How'd that play out?
So a lot of my people are in this general area, but I do have total ballers in Florida, amazing, and they've become my friends, just like you guys have become friends, and you go skiing and snowboarding, and New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I now have one in Alabama. I don't know yet, and I need to know that person. But you know, just South Carolina. I've got great friends in South Carolina. Love getting together. Love masterminding, trying to help them build their businesses and grow, build their rev share. And when they need me, I'm there. I pick up the phone. I'm not one of those agents that doesn't pick up the phone. I pick up the phone. I don't like long conversations, but I like quick conversations and getting to the point.
Yeah. I can agree with that 100%. So your organization's expanded to multiple states. It sounds like a lot of your initial players were in the local area. So is it fair to say that a lot of the agents that you recruited were just agents you knew in your local market, maybe at your former Keller Williams office, and maybe cross sale agents? Would you say those are the main pillars if you were to look at sources of business per se?
Mostly cross sale agents and people when
Cross
I
sale.
came over, they saw, that what I was putting out there about EXP, about the cost of EXP. So I think business
Yeah.
minded people will see the numbers and understand that. And so many agents, they don't run numbers, and that's the death of their business, really, because they don't understand where they get their business. They don't track anything. And so the people that I have in my front line, generally in my second line, are business minded brokers, and so that's why I feel like my rev share is pretty good compared to a lot of people's.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really good. I think the cool thing for independent brokers coming over, top producers, team leads, where they might be thinking, well, I'm too busy for revenue share, like not interested. I gotta, keep up with my monthly expenses. It's like if you can just paint the picture, like this is just an add-on. Sometimes I compare it to, I remember, McDonald's, like they were like famous for, would, do you want fries with that? It's an upsell. Essentially, EXP is an upsell to what you're already doing. You're talking to your cross sale agents and you're simply saying, hey, tell me about your business. Have you taken a look at EXP yet? And it essentially just, without having to do that much more work, you've built on a six-figure a year passive income to your business, and that's net. Net and GCI are two very different things. Like,
Very
man, I
different.
remember I was doing like my last year in business, 2017. I did about 600,000 GCI, and the net on that was like 200. And my monthly expenses were like 15K a month, whatever it was. Like, rev share is that's just net all day. It's really interesting. I find, like you said, like the bigger players, they get that, they get what we have here, and the lower producers are actually harder to recruit. New agents and lower producers, I found that they're also harder to recruit because they don't get really what we're doing. Like higher level minded business people, they get leverage and they get exponential growth. Like I was just having a conversation with this guy at my gym here in Dorado Beach 2 days ago. I shared it with John the other day over Voxer or on the phone. I forget what, but anyways, this guy, I met him randomly at the gym. He paid at the time the most money for a baseball card at the time, $5.2 million he paid for a baseball card to Mickey Mantle. So this guy
Oh,
has a lot of money, I would guess, if you can buy a baseball card for that much money. And he asked me what I did, and I started telling him. He's like, "Oh, you're in that EXP thing, aren't you?" Because there's a couple other guys that live here from EXP. And he's like, "I'm actually in the process of getting my license right now in Florida, so I can use my network and sign up agents." Like this is somebody that I would have to, like you said, 8 exits. So started and sold 8 companies. Whenever I
mhm.
talk to somebody outside our industry about what we're doing, they immediately are interested and they have questions. And half the time they're talking about wanting to get their license. Like, and then you talk to a new agent and they're like, well, but the split's 80-20. It's like, hello, come on, let's go. So it's just, if everyone can grasp, I just shared that story so that everyone could grasp like what we have here and really have the confidence and let go of the fear and really start sharing it. Because I caught when John was talking about the market we're in right now and agents are dropping out of the MLS, and we really got to double down if we want to keep increasing our numbers. So now is just the time to get after it. So Karin, talk a little bit about the future. What are your goals going into 2023, 2024? I like to paint like a 3-year picture. I feel like 3 years is enough time to accomplish something big, but also not too far out where it feels like it's not tangible. So 3 years from now, like where do you see your rev share organization going?
Well, I first of all, I had to jump back into my business here at the office, but the rev share and investing in real estate, I like crypto, for the future. I like to short the stock market. I like to do a lot of different things, but I just feel like, the future is the rev share with top producers who sometimes they're so busy. And this is what we have to remember. Sometimes if it's a single agent and he or she is running 15 or 20 million dollars in business, they're so slam busy. They're showing, they're trying to run a team, they're trying to hire, we're constantly in hiring mode. And that's the same thing, for a team. We're constantly hiring agents and, making sure staff is. And so what I feel like the future is top producers, the 15 million plus agent who can recruit under them, buyer's agents or buyer list agents. We do both here, but that can come in under them. So I won't take new agents and put them directly under me. They have to go in under somebody who can train them, teach them, pick up those calls. And we have to teach them. That's really been probably the catalyst in the Greensboro market. Is I had a lot of top producers join us. Patsy Arriaga's over there with me. And she started talking to top producer agents, and we were talking to them and teaching them about EXP, but they were so under leveraged. They were just dying. They were pulling those 100-hour weeks. They didn't understand how to hire. So we were giving them copies of our policy manuals and split tables and how to do things so that they could leverage other people, and taking that leverage and helping them hire assistants and transaction coordinators has taken the pressure off of them from a sales perspective and put it on staff or agents and allowed them to actually go out and recruit. And they're just crushing it over there in Greensboro, which is like 30 minutes from me. And so it's been really, really fun to watch them. And the same thing is going on down in Florida with our agents in Northeast Florida. So that's fun when you can help somebody see a different life for them and free their time. So Patsy always says you have to buy back your time. And part of being a top producer is learning to buy back your time with great staff, great agents, and just growing it in a different way, other than you being the schlepper of everything.
I love that. Yeah, the schlepper. Yeah, exactly. That's the end of the game. Yeah, totally, man. I've schlepped a lot of stuff in my lifetime for sure. I actually got my real estate license. I paid for getting my real estate license and kind of floated us for a few months there by schlepping ladders out of a storage unit. I bought like 100 ladders from an AC company going out of business in Charlotte. Showed up, hired movers. Because I used to have a painting company, so I knew what the ladders were worth. I made probably like 10 grand from schlepping ladders out of a storage unit before and after my real estate classes for like 2 months straight. It was awesome. But I love what you said. What I heard you say, Karin, was leaders building leaders. Like you're developing people strategically and putting the people that need development under those leaders as kind of like a thought process. Like, hey, we need to put the newer agents under people so they can get the proper nurturement and all that. So that's really amazing.
It's a win-win.
So we got a question here in the chat.
Sure.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Win-win or no deal, right?
Right.
That's what we learned. So Jeff Lewis says, have you found agents come right over after the presentation? So the question is, how long after you really sharing EXP with them or the presentation are they coming over typically? And then what's your follow-up look like?
Well, as I told you, this is my new focus, and for the rest of the year, I'm business planning with my team on Monday. And then we created our own business planning presentation and book for my organization so that I can print a copy and send it to them. But the top producers that are dealing with financials and look at a profit and loss, they see it. They see it. People that are 100-hour a week schlepping everything, they see that they can't continue on in that direction and that they need help. But the help they need is they don't have a policy manual. They don't have splits thought out. They don't have their paperwork. And that's really daunting. And I spent years paying people to help me get this stuff in line. So I give people in my organization that piece of it so that they can launch their own organization faster, and they can just update it however they want. But I spent years paying people to help me put this stuff together, and it saves them a little bit of time. So you know, the top producers that do actually look at numbers, they see it. And the people that are so crushed by time spent showing clients, writing offers, they don't always see it, but they know they can't continue on in that direction. The 80, 100-hour weeks is too hard, too demanding.
Yeah, that's right on. So it sounds like when they see it and they get it, they come, and those who don't, they just kind of don't come, and then you're working on putting more of a strategic follow-up system in place.
I'm not the best at the follow
With
up, truthfully, and
yeah,
that's why
most
I was
people are
like,
not.
I'm going to commit 4 hours a week to John Mikesh and help him write this stuff so we can just wrap it up, just wrap that shit up and get it moving.
Yeah, it's good for people to hear Karin, because a lot of times from the outside, people think, well, it's got to be like 95% of people are not good at follow up. So people on this call are like, well, look at Karin. She's so polished. She's got this big team. She must be doing all this great stuff to get her to where she's got in her upshare business out, and we're bumping into agents and we're saying, how's your business? Hey, check out what we got going on at EXP. And then they join or they don't. And people get lost through the cracks. I mean, I've probably lost more people from bad lead follow-up than I've sponsored people, like that's just the reality of it. So it's, I think it's good for people to hear that, hey, my lead follow-up system could use some improvements, and so can mine. So
that's my one
uh,
thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were done. That's my one thing
no,
is
you're
to
good. You're
hire
good.
another staff person, but this person works on everything lead follow up, not just on. I mean, because we get 10 leads a day, and it's October right now. In spring and summer, we'll get 20 or 30 leads, and I've got new agents calling. They go, "Oh, this one already bought. That one already bought," and I'm like, that's because our lead follow up sucks, and we're not doing the hard part of the lead follow up. That's the money. People don't understand that's the money game. If we would just follow up, put it on and calendar it, it's like what Brent said. I think Andrea or somebody was saying, you got to follow up because that's where the money is, and loving them after the fact. That's where the wealth building happens.
Yep. It's, fortunes and follow up. We say that in real estate, and it's true with attraction. David Caggiano asks, Karin, since you're primarily building in one area, do you get a lot of non-EXP agents who you're talking to saying that they're getting called by everybody, and has that maybe tarnished the reputation a little bit of EXP in Winston-Salem? Yeah.
Oh, that's
North Carolina has been beat to death.
Huge. And they're so turned off about it because they've been called and text, people call and text and email them. And this week I had 3 different EXP agents that are not associated with me at all, that I had to handle stuff for their clients, because they were like, I'm calling my EXP agent and this person's not picking up, and you're the EXP person in the triad. And I'm like, well, just so you know, we're all independent contractors. They're not affiliated with me, but I'm going to help you solve your problem. So I've been solving problems for EXP agents that no one's training. They're brand new. And we've got to do a better job. That's my one thing too today is like, if you got people in your organization, they've got to learn. You cannot ghost people just because you can't solve their problem right away. You got to figure out how to solve it. And that's a big one. That's why people come back to me over and over, is because I will always solve their problem. I just went off.
That's gold. No, that's gold. The people that get paid the most in this world are the ones that solve the problems at the highest level. Elon Musk, baby, he's going to Mars. He's colonizing Mars. That's why that guy's a billionaire. I'm not sure if that's a problem we have right now, needing to go to Mars, but
I don't think so.
He's a big thinker for sure. Yeah. At some point, maybe, man. Like, I don't know if he can get us to Mars. I wouldn't mind buying a ticket and maybe having a vacation home there one day. We'll see.
I'll come visit.
Then Yeah, that'd be awesome. Get Airbnb up there. Um, cool. I'm just going through any other questions. So I think it's Ario asks, are you willing to share your manuals? If you are, Karin, feel free to post them in the group. If not, that's okay. No pressure there. Um, Lori Dow says, how are you determining which agents slash teams to reach out to?
I like how they do business. I like how they operate. I like that they care. I like that they market and advertise, and I see how they do. I want to be in business with people that do business like I do, that have a good reputation. The clients come back, they're building. I used to hire a lot of friends and past clients that were kind of, I call them the country club folks who don't really have to work. And I had to shift my mindset because just because they don't really like to work, there's a reason why they don't like to work. So I like the people that have that work ethic, that work more than they don't work, that love working, that have that mentality. They get to go to work, they get to do this business, they get to serve their clients, they get to do this day. They're super positive and happy. And I've let go of a lot of old notions of, of people that really don't want to work because they really, they'll take 6 months off or they'll drop out and then all of a sudden they're in panic mode because they got a divorce. And so I've just sort of shifted my mindset too. It's all a learning experience. Business is just, it's fluid and we have to move with it.
Yeah. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it. Go after people with a strong work ethic and that do business like you.
And they're fun.
Cool.
And they're fun.
David Caggione.
Yeah.
Hey,
Fun
Karin,
is a core value of
David.
EXP.
hey,
Go ahead,
I have
David.
a follow-up to that question I asked. So what we're dealing with is we've got about 170 agents, primarily in our local area that are all part of the same organization. And I get a lot of feedback from them that when they call, they're talking to agents and the agents are like, I've been called so many times. And it feels like a lot of our local agents who aren't with EXP are digging in their heels a bit, almost like I shall not be moved because they have been called so much. And are you running into that? And if so, do you just push through it and just, it's a numbers game at the end of the day? And, or are you guys doing anything? Because I'm a little concerned about the local reputation, of having that kind of stigma, right? And I know it comes with EXP and we're doing it for the right reasons, but I just was curious if you've run into that yet with your organization getting the size that it's getting to.
Well, I will just tell you this. Every single firm on the planet has bad agents, people that don't pick up the phone, they don't call people back, they take days off, they don't have somebody backing up their business when they're out of town. So there are just bad agents everywhere. And that's why 90% of these agents will be gone in the next 2 years, right? And we'll have a few new people starting in the business. But it's a real opportunity for us to share knowledge with people in our community. And I haven't done enough education. I'm doing a lot more right now and making my game plan for 2023. We have to come from, I hate saying this because it's a Keller Williamsism, but we have to come from contribution or, helping people or growing other people, even though we may not get anything in return, right? So if we're educating others in our community, that's what leads to the better reputation, because just because there are a handful of bad ones, and I've talked to buyers in the past 2 weeks, really, who were with an EXP agent who did not perform, and I solved their problems. So guess who they're going to come back to every time and twice on? They're going to come to Karin. But the reputation of EXP is easier to solve and manage if you're helping other people in the community, just keeping a good reputation. If your agents are just being friendly and nice and helpful and picking up the phone or texting back or being responsive, just that professionalism that really is lacking in our industry in general. And it lacks it everywhere. It lacks it at all the local brokerages, the big ones, the small ones. It's because people don't take their job seriously and they have a fiduciary duty that they should perform at the highest level on every deal and every past client, in my opinion.
Sure. And I should have clarified, I meant reputation with the other co-brokes because you're soliciting them so much. Does that make sense?
Well,
have you run into any issues with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has. With my co-brokes, I have such a strong reputation for getting the deal done and doing the right thing every single time that I don't have that issue. And agents actually know that my team will get the deal done. But when I go to recruit, they've already been hit up the wrong way. And every firm in town is recruiting nonstop. So we just have to keep leaving that positive. And I drop little things with people. Did you know that with your $20 million a year, you would have only paid EXP $16,000 plus a $5,000, so maybe like 22,000, and they go, really? Are you kidding? That's how Berkshire Hathaway agents come over. And we have a lot of Berkshire Hathaway and boutique brokerage people in my group.
Great, thanks.
I hope that answered it.
Cool. We are over in time, so we are going to wrap up. Karin, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with the group. Really appreciate it. Let's make sure we get you on in another 6 months or so and do a recap of where's Karin now. We always like to see how people are growing, what they're learning, and celebrate their wins. So again, thanks for coming on. And we'll see you guys on the Tuesday mastermind call at noon, the Tuesday production mastermind call. Make sure you get your recruits on there. That's the purpose of that call, in addition to building our agents. And then me and John will see you here next Thursday. All right, see you guys.